I know we've only known each other for 4 weeks and 3 days, but to me, it seems like 9 weeks and 5 days.
All my passionate plant people and garden enthusiasts. Welcome. It's Sunday. It's time for the Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing show right here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'm your host today. We've got a great show for you today. In fact, it's party time today on the Let's Get Growing show. Today we have our good friends from the Garden Party podcast joining us for a garden roundtable here just a little bit later on the show. We got our good friend Destin from Texas Garden Guy, Deserae, Gardening with Dezz, and Phil from Phil's Figs joining us for a great roundtable here later on in the show. So like I said, stay tuned for this great conversation today. We're gonna have lots and lots of fun for sure. Also, if you are here today right now, definitely click that like button, hit the thumbs up, and also subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Hit the bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams. Plus, share with all of your garden friends out there. Let them know about the Let's Get Growing show here every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Again, here on the Urban Gardener channel. Right on. And a big, huge shout out to all of you who are joining with us on the replay. I love the fact that when we get done with this show, it stays on our channel for replay for everybody to catch up whenever they can. And I'm glad that you are joining with us on your time and getting to enjoy these great gardening conversations here on the Urban Gardener channel. Drop into the comment section below. I would love to hear from all of you, even if you want to just drop in and say hi. Definitely do that for sure. Thank you very much. And if you do have any questions or any sort of comments or any sort of things like that while you're here live on the show, jump into the chat. If you haven't been in the chat yet before, jump in there, say hi, let us know where you're growing from and what you've got growing on this year. Introduce yourself. Again, if you do have any sort of small channels or anything like that too as well, let us know that you've got a channel and we can maybe get a shout out for you as well too. But if you do have any questions, and I love questions for our guests, especially in our roundtable conversation coming up later on in the show, put those in big capital letters, and that way I can see the questions from the conversation, and then I can hopefully make sure we get those asked. And again, too, also about that too, I just wanted to make a quick note on questions and that sort of thing when it comes with guests and everything too. You know, that there's kind of a conversation going on, and sometimes there's certain subjects we're talking about and all of that, and I'll get questions and they might be a little bit different. I will try to work those into the conversation as they can fit in and that sort of thing. So if you do ask a question and it hasn't been asked quite yet, just hold on, because I'm going to try to work it in as we get through the conversation. And sometimes it might be down the conversation a little bit, just kind of depending on what we're talking about at the moment. But I do try to and want to get you guys into this conversation. That's a great thing about doing these shows and these live shows, is that you're all here, and to have you all a part of the conversation is what really makes these shows so much fun. So definitely put those questions in, like I said, nice capital letters so I can see them from the regular conversation. And also follow all the links down below in the description to all of our guests, and go check out their channels, go check out their social media or whatever links we've got there, and go and find something new that they've done, and go leave them a comment. Go let them know that you saw them here on the Let's Get Growing show. I always appreciate hearing back from folks that our listeners are checking out their channels and leaving great comments and all of that too. So thank you all for doing that too. I really do appreciate it. It's a great way to support the show. So thank you so much. All right. We got a lot growing on today. I was mentioning and talking on the show yesterday. It is actually, and I just found this out a couple of days ago, it is National Garden Month. April is National Garden Month. And so I guess we're going to kind of celebrate National Garden Month right here on the show. I think it's a wonderful thing, and it gives us, like a lot of other things out there that get kind of like a month-long celebration. Why not gardening too? And I was mentioning on the show yesterday too, because this is National Gardening Month, and it is, let's see, they say it's a month-long celebration dedicated to gardening and horticulture, encouraging people to engage with nature and the benefits of growing plants. I mean, you can't say that any better. That's a big thing we talk about. We celebrate every weekend right here on the show for sure. But one of the things I was thinking about, because we all really are already celebrating National Garden Month almost every day and every month when it goes down to it, maybe we can utilize this time that it's a dedicated time to National Garden Month for some of us gardeners to do some things. I was kind of mentioning a couple of things too yesterday is, just maybe inviting a friend or family member, or even someone in your neighborhood or your community that you've met recently or something, or even, you can go out and introduce yourself to some neighbors and all of that too. But maybe get somebody over to your garden spaces, and maybe you can show them what you're growing and how you're growing, and be able to kind of show them how easy it is to do themselves as well too, and maybe even help them with a helping hand if they decide that maybe they want to grow a garden of their own, to help them out in that sort of thing too. And maybe we can encourage some new gardeners and take advantage of National Gardening Month in that way. I think that's a great idea. I was also, like I was saying, get out and introduce yourself to some folks as well too. Is after I was thinking about this yesterday, I decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some seeds of a few things that I save, and I'm going to make a few different little like home saved seed packets, and I'm going to go around and introduce myself to a few newer neighbors that I know that are here. I know a lot of my neighbors, I've been here a long time, know who I am, but maybe I'll go just give them some seed packets, let them know this and that as well too, that I'm doing this kind of reintroduction, I guess you'd say, reintroduction to the neighborhood. Give out some seeds and encourage folks to come by and check out the garden when they get an opportunity, and then give me an opportunity to talk to them about gardening and all of its benefits, because there's so much more we get out of gardening than just growing plants and growing our own food and all of that as well too. So there's so much, and we talk about it all the time here on the Let's Get Growing show. As I said, it's something we celebrate every day, every month already. So maybe that's something we could do, is we could get out there and be able to encourage newer gardeners as well to kind of join the club, as you would say, or maybe even again too start a garden club or something like that. Maybe it would be another fun thing to do for National Garden Month as well too. So lots and lots going on. Let's see here. Let's check out and see who we got growing on with us here today, or growing along with us today. We've got, I saw in the chat early on before I was getting on the show here, David having fun in the chat here. Yeah, and he was, I love, this one was funny here. Good morning, Enoch, the glue that gardens them all together, the urban gardener. I thought that was pretty clever. But yeah, David, thank you. Having fun in the chat before the show was going there too, as well too. I saw Bettina jumping in, saying hi as well too. We've got, of course, we've got to, oh, I see. Okay, wait a minute here. Let me see here. Where are we at? There we are. Got our good friend Jay Dixon jumping in the conversation there too, our facilitator, and we're always so thankful to have Jay here helping out on the show. So definitely thank you, Jay, for being here, joining us from Huron County, Midwestern Ontario. Love it. Thank you so much. We've got Adam, again, our other moderator, joining us from Central Point, just right up the road from me here in Southern Oregon. I see we have Bill Will Dog in the conversation earlier as well, saying that he's sifting compost today. Awesome. Yeah, lots and lots to be doing. I was sifting compost this last week as well too. I got a bunch of good stuff, both that and some of my worm vermicompost that I've got as well too, that I'm doing some compost teas and everything that I've got kind of going on right now this week, as well as a bunch of other just kind of work is basically what it is right now. Is we're kind of doing this kind of up and down weather thing. It's kind of rainy and gray one day and nice and sunny the other day, but rain or shine, I'm out there getting some work done right now. Just get ready to do some really good stuff. We've got lots and lots of great starts that are already starting to grow, so we got to make way for them in the garden spaces. See, we got Mobius in the chat there as well, saying sunny and 50 degrees in Northwest Montana, outdoor time. Awesome. Yeah, it's one of those up days for you. Definitely. It's a little gray out for us here over here today, but we'll see. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. Jersey Girl, thank you for being here. Thanks for joining the show. Right on. Excellent. Thank you all, everybody, for being here and being a part of the show today. Let's see here. Oh, look at this. We've got Mr. McAnderson. Learned about you and your show from Dezz, Destin, and Phil. First time listening to your show. Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate you being here, checking out the show. We'll have the garden party on here in just a little bit here on the show. And again, too, always a great conversation with them. Really looking forward to it. Excellent. Let's see. We got Dusty Flats in there. So many tiny seedlings to pot up and tomatoes to start. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot going on right now. Seedlings, potting up. Like I said, just garden maintenance. If that, Let's see here. Freebird, excellent to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah. Jay says, plant seeds, tend gardens, enjoy the beauty of nature, learn new skills, take a gardening class or a workshop, share your love of gardening, share with others, join a gardening club. Great ideas for National Gardening Month for sure. Like I said, lots and lots of things that we can do to celebrate our favorite pastime, if you will. Serena, great to see you. Hey, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Awesome. Excellent. So it's great to see everybody. We're going to get moving along here today. Like I said, we got a great show. We've got the garden party coming up here in just a little bit later on the show. But it is Sunday, and on Sunday, we go to hang out with our good friend Mark Roche Colbert in the garden. And this week he's not necessarily in the garden. We'll have him next week. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show, but he'll be with us next week. Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to show you one of his course videos. He's got a really great course called What They Didn't Teach You in Gardening School. So let's check out this course video on journaling.
I once read that the palest ink is better than the most retentive memory. That thought has stayed with me and inspired me to create a 3-part garden record-keeping system that allows me to track plantings and to be able to review my notes and actually learn from my season-to-season experience. Let's start our discussion by thinking about the kind of information that will be useful to our gardening practice. Since gardening begins with seeds, let's capture some information about the seed. What I take note of regarding seeds are the following. First of all, I write down the crop and the variety. This is utterly crucial information. Let's say you're growing broccoli and so is your neighbor. You basically have the same kind of soil, fertilize it the same way, hoe it regularly, and water it about equally. Your yards get the same amount of sun, more or less. The late spring into early summer is hot, and your neighbor's broccoli becomes yellow, misshapen, and utterly covered in a thick sweater of tiny black aphids. Yours, remarkably, produces healthy, waxy, bluish-green leaves, followed by proud, tight domes of buds. All other things being equal, this difference is probably due to variety. Your despondent neighbor walks over one day to ask what kind of broccoli that is, and you realize, You forgot to write it down. Well, enjoy it this year, but don't expect a repeat next because you missed a crucial moment of record keeping. It might be you with those nasty, sickly, aphid-laden broccoli next year, and it didn't have to be that way. Always write down the kind of crop and the variety name, because there's no such thing as a generic broccoli or any other crop for that matter. There are only specific varieties, each with their own traits, which, depending on conditions, might be assets or defects. Without the variety name, you're stuck in a world of abstraction. Now, besides that, there are other things that matter about seeds and that you might want to note. The seed company. Not all seed companies are equal, and some have much higher standards than others, which translates into better quality seed. The year the seeds were packaged. Seeds, as living beings, have a discrete lifespan. They eventually expire, and after that will never germinate, even though they look perfectly good. While there are seeds that can last for 1,000 years and still germinate, there are others that are viable or sproutable for only a few days. Fortunately, most vegetable seed, when properly stored with low temperature and low humidity, will last at least a couple years, and some will go a decade and still be good. If in doubt, you can do a quick germination test with some seeds on a moistened paper towel, all tucked into a Ziploc bag and placed somewhere warm. If the germination results aren't impressive, then consider resupplying before the coming season. You may also care to know and note the seed's percent germination, which basically expresses the number of seeds in any batch that will sprout out of 100, even under the best conditions. The better seed companies will conduct germination tests on their various batches of seed and will mark the germination percentage on the package. Some kinds of seeds consistently germinate high in the 90s, the overachievers, and others are content with a C, as in 75% or lower. Knowing the germination percentage will ease your worrying mind if your seeds don't come up as thickly as you wished. It might just be the seed's fault, not yours. And if you're tracking all this info and find you are planting old seed with naturally low germination, well, then it just might be time to order some new seeds so your success rate increases. In addition to capturing all this information, I also want to note the date I planted the seeds, especially so that later I can figure out how many days it took from seeding to getting a harvest. Where do I put this all down? Splash some of that pale ink, so to speak? I put it in two places, on a plastic tag and in a journal. We'll tackle the tag first and then address the journal a little later. Okay, so the plastic tag. If you've seen the segment on making soil balls, you're probably wondering how it can be so two-faced, because there I'm damning plastic and here I'm embracing it. There's a reason why I like plastic tags for my indoor record keeping. First of all, they are impermeable to water. I have tried various wooden tags and popsicle sticks and tongue depressors as alternatives to the plastic tag, but they are all porous and start to wick water from the moist soil immediately upon planting. As this water wicks up the stick, it can discolor or completely erase the information written thereon, thereby erasing our capacity to learn. Plastic is impermeable, of course, never wicks, and always yields the information reliably. Note also that I said plastic tags for indoor record keeping. There's no UV light indoors, and so basically these plastic tags are endlessly reusable. I write in pencil and keep a good rubber eraser nearby. When I'm done with a tag, I merely give it a pass with the eraser and it's ready to go again. Oh, and one pro tip, always erase with a motion that only goes away from you. If you go back and forth, you'll snap these thin little things every time. The other thing I like about plastic tags is that they come in various colors, so I can color code different things that I'm tracking. For example, I use a basic white tag for the date, the variety, and the crop name. Sometimes for example, I experiment with different potting soils or different elements added to a standard potting soil. I tend to use a yellow tag for that, noting the manufacturer of the soil or the type of amendment that I added. Other times I try various treatments such as a nutrient soak or a longer or shorter light schedule. For these I might use yet another color tag, say purple or whatever I have at hand. By the end of my indoor growing time, whether I'm eating the plants right there and then as micro or baby greens, or whether I'm ready to plant them outdoors, I might have a whole rainbow of tags telling me the history of that tiny plant's first days. In that way, it's kind of like a newborn baby's journal, where every first is documented in great detail. All right, so I have all these bright, pretty tags in hand telling me so much information about my plants. What do I do with it? Once again, it's the palest ink approach. I write it all down. Tags, remember, are destined for erasure, so now I have to capture that information in a more permanent fashion, one which will allow me to access it, think about it, and make further ruminations on it. There are a lot of what the brilliant organizational and communications consultant Ann Parmenter has called capture devices, but the one I like the best is the good old-fashioned journal. I buy something unlined and blank that I like the look and feel of, and write everything down on the right-hand pages only. The left-hand pages are reserved for updates and annotations, allowing me to track the progress of the planting, both lauding successes and admitting defeats. Occasionally, at moments when brilliance strikes or dejection stings, I might go into full liberal arts mode and write out narrative paragraphs to process the garden-related feelings. But mostly I keep it brief, snappy, and just the facts. Okay, we have one more documentary stage to describe here, and then our system is complete. Many plants that we start indoors are destined not to have their lives cut down in the prime of youth, but rather to attain a ripe maturity outside. So we need a capture device for outdoors as well. And here I'm going back to full anti-plastic crusader. When we're outside, we do have to contend with that most powerful ultraviolet ray producer, the sun. Normal plastics don't have UV inhibitors, and so they are guaranteed to begin to snap, crackle, and pop as the season progresses, leaving a trail of garden waste in their wake. Here's where I go back to wood. My outdoor system consists of some sturdy wooden stakes, a Sharpie marker, and a sponge sander, all kept in a bucket. When I plant outdoors, whether I am direct seeding or transplanting, I can record all the relevant information on the stake with the Sharpie. I face the written information away from the sun because those powerful UV rays will bleach even the darkest ink if the crop is in the ground for months. When I change crops in the same bed, I can just rotate the stake and write the new information on another side, keeping a record of up to 4 crops in sequence. If I do need to erase, just a few passes with the sanding sponge will make one of the wooden surfaces as good as new. And if I bring the stakes in for the winter and dry them, they should last for years, if not decades. Of course, any outdoor planting information should be recorded in the journal as well, and in some cases it can be helpful to keep a separate outdoor journal. When inclement weather strikes, a paper journal is a very sad thing indeed, so you might benefit from keeping notes in one of those waterproof notebooks, then transferring these to a master journal or spreadsheet later on. One more thing about journals. I have recently discovered the multi-year journal and love this way of capturing a record of what I planted and when. In addition to being able to note seasonal and annual variations in the life of the garden, reviewing past year's jottings, which are right on the same page, can serve as a prompt for what to do this year. Let me be inflexible in saying that you must record things at the time of planting. Otherwise, you probably will not do it. I'm lazy. You're lazy. I'm busy. You're busy. I'm distractible. You're distractible. Write it down now. Keep what you need close by, such as on a tray or in a pail, and get in the habit of making those tags at the moment of planting. Because, let's face it, good information is a terrible thing to waste. If you have a little additional time, maybe on a Sunday morning while contemplatively sipping the morning cup of joe, it can be helpful to take your master journal and note the progress of your plants, whether in the seed room or in the garden. It can also be a moment of joy when you relax from the duties of the garden and just take a bit of time to contemplate it and enjoy the plants, the other creatures, the moment. This kind of big picture reflection will help you later on when reflecting on the season and preparing for the next. With journal in hand, you'll be able to answer questions like, did my experiment with fertilizers show any difference? Did this variety live up to the claims of the seed catalog? Did I like the taste of those carrots? Should I plant my lettuce earlier next year? I haven't really mentioned technology here, except of course for the Neolithic stuff, Sharpies, plastic tags, paper journals. I do use my phone a lot to record little voice memos, and will often snap a picture or make a pass with a video at different times of the season. These records can be very helpful, especially the visual ones. Still, time-bound records like audio and video require time to review. So I'm still partial to the written word, which can be scanned quickly and where it's easy to jump from page to page, from day to day and month to month, as it were. I find gardening to be like seeing a friend with a new haircut or style. After a moment to get used to the new look, it's hard to remember what the person looked like before. The new becomes the norm. Same in the garden. After you've ripped out or mowed down a planting and have something new in its place, it can be pretty darn challenging to remember what was there prior, not to mention in prior years. Plan on the fact that you're going to forget and write it all down. Use the three-pronged system: plastic tags in the grow room or seating area, wooden stakes outside, and some kind of a master journal to capture it all. Then, as with all data, you have to read it, think about it, and use it to help you make decisions for the future of your garden. That's what winter and fireplaces and warm cups of tea are for. But you can't do that unless you have, at the very least, the palest ink.
Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible feature visits. Oh, get that full screen. All right. Excellent course video. Again, what they didn't teach you in gardening school. Great course by our good friend Mark Rocher-Colbert, Mr. MBC. I've got a link down below in the description if you want to check out that full course. It's full of lots of great information. Mark is just a wonderful teacher and a real great asset to the Let's Get Growing show. Definitely love those segments. And again, like I said, we'll have him back here with us this next week live on the show. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about what's coming up here at the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. But have you seen who we've had on the show? In fact, we just had a great show yesterday. Yesterday on the show, we had with us Mr. Mike McGrath from You Bet Your Garden joined with us. Mike is such a great personality. And also we had with us Edge of Nowhere Farm. Great conversation with Edge of Nowhere and Mike McGrath. Like I said, just a really great fun conversation. You know, you're always going to have a great time when you have the radio guys on your show. Those guys really know how to have a great conversation for sure. So you want to go back and check that show out yesterday. And if you didn't see last week's show too, last week we had on the show Raish Gala was with us. We had her on the show, and returning to the show as well, we had Paul from Guten Gardening. It was great to catch up with him again, and a really wonderful conversation with Raish. You want to go back and check out last Saturday's show too, and last Sunday on the show for a garden roundtable, we had our good friends Christopher Bransdal joining us from the mountains of Norway, where it's still cold and snowing at times. And our good friend from the very opposite, actually, our good friend Kang Starr joining us from the Lone Star State of Texas. So great to have those guys together. Again, those guys are my original, like, as I say, my OGs when it comes to doing live streaming with others and talking and conversations and all of that. They were the first guys that we had on the show, or on the channel, actually, well years before the show. So it was great to catch up up with them as well too. So if you want to go back and check out those shows and everything that we got growing on, and like I said, we'll talk about what we got coming up on the show as well too, just a little bit later on. But now it's time for our garden roundtable. All right. So it's time to have the garden party join with us here. Oh, I got to change let's change this up here. We'll do this on the fly. We got Dezz from Gardening with Dezz here, and we've got Destin from the Texas Garden Guy, and I don't see our friend Phil yet. So maybe Phil will be joining in here in just a minute as well too. We'll drop him in when he gets in as well. Where's Phil?
I thought he was in the chat already.
Is he in the chat already?
I didn't see him in there.
Is he in? Let me see. I'm not.
Maybe he's having a technical difficulty.
Maybe
it's possible. Phil is king of the technical difficulties, or like he has a kid emergency sometimes too.
That could be the case, right? You never know for sure.
Yeah.
Great to have you guys on. Awesome.
Happy to be here, dude.
Yeah. It's great to have you guys back on and joining the conversation here on the Let's Get Growing show. It's great to kind of have our shows kind of collaborate and come together when we can. So great to have you. So real quick, similar to your guys' show, I'm going to give you each just a minute here to introduce yourself here. And then maybe as we get through this, maybe we'll see Phil by then. If not, we'll just move on. We'll be good. And we'll catch up with him when he gets in.
Go ahead, Dezz.
Oh,
yeah. I'm sorry. I should direct. Yes. Thank you.
Ladies first.
That's all right. That's all right.
You guys are so sweet. So I'm gardening with Dezz. You may have seen me here before. I hope you see us on the Garden Party podcast on Wednesdays at 7. We have a blast. We are fully in our April gardening, which is the biggest month for gardening, as Enoch just told us. Biggest month. And I have been out doing a huge garden renovation in my garden. And it has been a massive undertaking, but I've been filming all of the minutia of the things.
Okay.
And lately, I've also been posting some cool pollinator videos.
Excellent. Nothing like a good renovation. I'm kind of in that mode right now where we're kind of, I've been like starting and changing like a couple of things, but then because I'm doing that, now I'm kind of looking at everything and going, well, maybe I could, and now it's kind of like, I should shuffle some things around. It's been like this for years and maybe I could take advantage of some changes.
Oh, yes. I just had to this year. It was time.
Yeah. Fun to do though too. It's like rearranging your living room every now and then, right?
Yeah, it feels so refreshing.
You just got to change the feng shui a little, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
That's right. How about you, Destin? How's things going with you there over at Texas Garden Guy?
Oh man, my name is Destin Noack, Texas Garden Guy. Texas Garden Guy on all platforms. We do the Garden Party podcast every Wednesday at 7, and have Dezz and my good buddy, my configliere, Mr. Phil's Figs.
Yeah, where's Phil?
I texted him. But yeah, no, it's April, and it does not feel like April this morning. It was like 46 degrees this morning.
Oh wow,
38 at my house.
Oh
really?
My god, it's insane.
Yeah, because you two are both in Texas, whereas Phil is over on the East Coast.
Yeah, and I was with her. Was last weekend or weekend before last?
Last weekend.
Yeah, I was like, God, it feels like it's been a month already.
I know.
Yeah, I was with Dezz in Austin, and it was like 92 degrees. It was hot. It was really hot. So yeah, man, it doesn't feel like it this morning, but I'm glad I didn't pull my greenhouse down yet. I'm glad I didn't take the hoop house down because I had a couple plants that would have been hit pretty hard with this cold weather. But yeah, man, spring stops for no one.
Are you past what would be your last frost time?
I think, yeah. We're not going to get another freeze.
This is kind of a surprise, cool, or I guess it wouldn't be really frost, but that's pretty cold for a lot of plants, though.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
April, we're usually consistently like 60 to 80s. Like it's usually in that range. May gets pretty hot pretty quick. But we're past the frost. There's that trademark garden party buffer. Yeah. But no, everything is fine. I just got some succulents like desert roses and stuff like that. They can get kind of damaged by anything under 50 degrees. So had to get busy putting stuff in the greenhouse last night. So that was fun.
Yeah.
I guess
I do feel you on not taking those things out of the greenhouse, because my house, I almost took my citrus trees out yesterday. Well, no, Friday when it was 92 degrees. I was sweating outside. And that would have been a mess because they've set blooms and they would have dropped them. I would have been sad.
Right.
Oh, yeah. That's, again, too, that fluctuation of weather at this time of year can really cause some problems for some plants, because they'll get going if it gets warm enough, and then oh my, yeah, you got to worry about that a little bit too when it comes to like some of the fruit trees. We get a nice real good hard freeze on some of those at this period right now, could be really detrimental to a lot of the fruit.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Texas this week was super wild too, because I don't know if Destin noticed this yet, but even in my hometown of Wichita Falls, which is North Texas, like real close to the Texas-Oklahoma border, they had a super terrible hailstorm this past week. And Smith's Garden Town, we've had him on our show before. They lost some of their greenhouse roof. And my cousin lost his greenhouse roof that he just recently did with the waffle, like clear sheeting on the top from all that hail. And then it was snowing in the Panhandle randomly. So we had snowing in the Panhandle, severe storms with hail in North Texas. It was a heat wave down here, 92 degrees. And then it was 38 this morning when I woke up, and Destin's at 46. So we're just getting the entire run of the spring weather at the moment.
It's just running different circles around the state. Definitely. That's crazy.
I saw Vikram had snow up in Lubbock. Vikram,
yeah, that's what I was talking about.
He had snows wild. It was pretty wild.
Oh my. That's crazy. Yeah. That's and I when you hear a lot of stories about some of that crazy time of weather this time of year, or even at the beginning of winter too, as well as like in early fall or mid fall, it's Texas. You hear a lot of these crazy things that go on, and these crazy weather patterns that we're seeing now that people haven't really seen before. And it's just really, and for us gardeners, that could just really throw everything for a loop though too, because weather is one of the most important parts of the whole plant cycle. So when we're dealing with such fluctuations, it could really cause some issues with what we're growing.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you can definitely see, like, if you put out tomatoes and you have a cold front come through, it can stunt the growth. I've had tomatoes. I've had tomatoes that I put out way too early, and they've stunted the growth. Especially with stuff like cucurbits, like your cucumbers and squash. If they get like a mild frost, like they're toast. They're so fragile. So it's really, that's why I have backups. Like I'll put some out, but I'll keep some, just in case we get a really cold day. I think it's going to get as low as 44 this week, so I think everything will be okay. But it's always nice to have backups.
You definitely want backups. It's great.
I think our coldest night may be tonight here for where I'm at, but it won't be freezing or anything. I don't know if you guys saw or not, but I posted a silly impromptu video last night of me putting little hats on my tomato plants and my pepper plants. And it's just to protect them from the wind and stuff, but it helps, and then in the morning, if it's like a black plastic pot, if the sun hits them first in the morning, it'll warm them up pretty quickly, and it'll help to keep them from like getting any sort of like damage. But I mean, they'll be fine. Tomato plants will still be fine at 40 degrees, but they're my precious little babies, and I don't want to take any chances. So if they're little, I'll put a bucket on them. It's no big deal.
That's right. And it's always great to you want to get as much of a head start on your tomato growing season too, especially for those who live in warm summers. I mean, even though I'm in Southern Oregon, that's a real issue for me is the heat that we get in summer. So I need my tomato plants to be, big and strong and already starting to produce early before we start seeing those heat waves always happening, because otherwise they just won't. They'll just go dormant. And they'll wait until fall and it cools down before I'll start seeing anything from them.
Yep.
And then again, depending on variety too, I've found some varieties that are really just strong and tough through some of the heat, and they just keep on barreling through. But yeah, that's that's a big situation, is to get a good head start. So then we got to deal with that weather fluctuation, because now possibly, because my last frost date here is like May 15th, I think, here for Southern Oregon, but I want to get my out before April 15th. There's a whole month I'm playing games with there. It couldn't possibly happen. And in most of the years in the last 5 or 6 years, there hasn't been an issue. 2 years ago there was, and it was just as simple enough for me though too, to take like some like the white like floating row cover. I think there's another name for it, but some of that frost, just plop it over some of the plants, and cover them up if I gotta, I can anticipate it getting low enough for them to but yeah, you get your plants strong enough though too, and then I've seen them go through some pretty cool nights as well too, without too much damage as well. So, but again, a head start's always a good thing, when it comes to tomato plants in these sort of regions.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Especially if you're tomato motivated.
That's right. Yes, exactly. Right. Tomato. That's just a hard one. I was going to say, can you combine those words?
No, I don't think
Tomatomation.
To motivated.
To motivated.
To motivated.
To motivated. Yes.
Hey, that's a good one. Right. I like that one.
Exactly.
Motivation is
that's
very
important. That's right. You go with that.
That's a shirt.
That's great.
It is.
Motivation with Dezz.
To motivated gardening. To motivated gardener.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
That's awesome.
Oh, look at Bowtie's running away with it too over here.
Right. There we are. Right.
He had a funny joke earlier. He said my last name is Destin Buffer.
I did see that.
Oh man,
he was having a lot of fun before the show even started. He had a bunch of fun things he was saying in the comments.
He does have a lot of
David's
good jokes.
Always having a great time.
He's a good dude.
He's funny. I love him.
Right on.
Getting
right
in there
on.
in our comment section all the time. It makes me happy.
Yeah, it's cool how like some of the some of the some of the guys who come over from your show, are really kind of stuck around with our show too. It's really nice like that.
That's what I love to hear, man.
A little midweek break for them with us, and they get you on the weekends,
Yeah, exactly. And then similar to, we got a kind of a similar correlation with Nate and his crew, and they from Garden Like a Viking, and his show's just before mine too. So and then there's a couple of others as well too, where they work out through the week. But I just I really dig what you guys do in midweek. It's great, and I love seeing where the show's going now too. You're just doing a great job with it as well too. So, like you said, if there is anybody in the conversation right now who hasn't checked out the Garden Party podcast, you definitely want to check the link down below in the description. You want to check them out as well too. If you're having a great, if you enjoy this type of fun conversation, around gardening and all of that, you're going to really enjoy what they do over there. I was thinking earlier too, is I don't know, and Phil's not here yet, so he hasn't challenged this thought that I was having earlier yet, is I don't know if I've done 4 people on the show yet. You guys do 4 and 5 sometimes. You guys have real serious roundtables. I call it a roundtable here on Sundays, but I'm like, the most I've done so far is like 2 people in the conversation. But you guys have great conversations with a whole roundtable of people. So I think it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of work when we have more than 4 people on. Especially because anybody that comes on, I want them to feel like their time is valued. I feel bad. I feel bad when we have 5 and 6 people come on, and we only go for like an hour and a half. Usually Phil's got to hop out. It'll probably come to a point where we have to go for like 2 hours, like minimum, just because I want to make sure everybody gets enough time to talk. And when we have 5 and 6 people, it's hard to my job as like a host, like the main
Mm-hmm.
host, is to moderate and kind of transition and move the conversation around so that everybody gets equal parts. And it's hard sometimes. It's really hard, especially with the way
I showed a great example of that right at the top of the show.
Yeah.
Or this conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes, well, I got in here with you guys, and I was like, wait a minute, am I on my show or your show?
Yeah, it can be difficult. So I think we're gonna try to stick to 4 people, just because 5 is too much. And I also am like OCD, so I like the symmetrical 4 squares on the screen.
Yeah,
right.
The 5, the gap throws me off every time. We'll do it, but I try to do 4. I try to stick to 4.
Yeah, I got a different thing going with the side by sides. With
this looks good.
It does look good.
Well, it's usually what we're doing. If it's just 3, we're doing something like this.
Mm-hmm. I also like that. That's also good.
Yeah. But then then I went with the 4 frame, and the 4 frame only does that when we got 3. So you got to switch it into the 3 frames usually like this.
Yeah.
But I was you're challenging me with the 4 frame because I've never done that, and then.
If you do it like this, you can see Elvis back here, my carnivorous plant I made, and you can see Slimer, my lava lamp.
Yeah.
You named your freaking lava lamp, Dezz?
Yeah, that's Slimer.
Yep. And we can see Destin's new sign he's got. Let's see what he got.
Yeah, it's a good one.
You got the lighting all right, perfect.
I'm working on it. It's a constant. I mean, Dezz knows how it is. Like you.
Oh my goodness!
I was the kid growing up who rearranged my room like once a month. So like that's how I am in my office, just trying to fit more stuff in. It's just I need more room. I need like a full studio. I need. Yeah,
I'm a maximalist. I get it.
Yes.
You look at my background.
I love it.
Yeah, right.
I love it.
A maximalist is I don't even know if that qualifies in my case. Is like enough.
Well, I remember you. I remember
there's got to be a bigger word than maximalist, is what I'm saying.
You told that's a corner of your living room.
I squeeze
right?
even more in there as I can. What's that?
I remember you telling us that's the corner of your living room, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Wow,
that's perfect.
It's not great too big corner. Of a living room, but yeah, it's kind of shoots right back into the back corner of my living room. Yeah,
I need to talk my wife.
And then like right here too is right like over here is like the other side of the living room, and there's a big 4 foot by 4 foot by 6 foot grow tent.
Oh wow!
Just right off of the monstera here. In fact, the monstera basically grows off the corner of it.
I love it.
There's like a whole other grow tent room here in the back corner. You guys can't see. I did a little tour, like a little plant tour of all the plants and all that sort of stuff for one of my shows a couple months back.
That's awesome.
Did I wonder if I put that out as a separate video? I think I might have on my on the video page. Yeah.
That's cool. Awesome. I'm gonna have to go find that. I want to see all your cool house plants.
Yeah. Well, they're really, again, too, one of the things I say is they're really just basic house plants, there's nothing like crazy or exotic or really anything like that. But there's a lot of them, and they're in the background. So I thought it would be a great idea for everybody to get up close.
This plant right here
out and everything.
You got that rattlesnake calathea? Is that what that is? A rattlesnake plant right there?
It's not thin like a rattlesnake, but it is a calathea. Yeah.
That thing looks amazing. Those are notoriously hard to keep alive, even if it's a basic one.
It's doing good, and what I've been doing is really just letting it dry out too, which is crazy for those. It's not everything I've read has never said anything, but this one, and I don't do well with them. I've got another calathea over here that looks absolutely horrible. The leaves are completely curled. There's not enough humidity in here, I'm sure is what the issue is. And it just won't, no matter what I do. And I got other ones that work out all right. This one just gives me the hardest time. But
well, my thing is
but this one is nice, and that's what I do.
Well,
I kind of ignore it a little bit is really kind of the issue. It sits there because like right now I'm like, man, I should give it some water.
It looks awesome. From here we can't tell.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that is a cool thing too about things in the background. You can't really tell, but no, like I said, I gave everybody a good up close look so everybody can see what's going on, especially so people can also see the pothos, because
Yeah.
that's the big story of the room. Basically, is I've had that plant for 25 plus years, 27, maybe 27, 28 years. In fact, yeah.
Wow.
Did you name it?
No, I've been asked this before. I think you might have even have asked me. I'm not even sure.
You gotta
Someone has
name it.
asked me this before. Is I don't have any names for any of my plants. I don't. That's just one thing I've never done is named plants.
I wish Blue Sage were in the chat. She would definitely name that plant for you in a hurry. She's constantly naming my critters for me. She named Elvis.
Right.
She named one of my new yard squirrels because he has a little like notch out of his ear. She named him Nacho,
That's
Notcho.
great. That's great. Yeah, I probably need some names. I guess that's probably the thing is I'm not really creative and inventive with names. I could have my daughter over here and she wouldn't have everything named in a minute. She would do that too. Dusty Flat says he named it Audrey. Audrey 2 from the Little Shop of Horrors.
Elvis.
Oh, nice.
Audrey.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, this thing wraps almost. I mean, it would if I had it. I'm sure it would wrap all the way around because it comes down and it wraps in a couple of circles over here, and it's worked its way over onto this side of everything as well. And now I'm introducing a couple of other varieties of pothos into the wrap. So hopefully it'll be a multi-pothos wrap around the room. It's kind of the plan right now. Kind of introduce it to some friends of some different varieties, but yeah.
Well, it looks great. Honestly, I have a horde of my own houseplants. It's like we're all our own little dragons, Destin is a desert rose dragon.
Okay,
I'm getting you may be the houseplant dragon.
Right. Yeah.
I'm a dragon for insects in general. I'm very into them.
Yes, absolutely. If we had to identify anything, it would be insects for you. Houseplants again too. That was really where it started for me. When it came to just my real love for plants was when I was a little kid. My mother, showed me how to. This one here, the spider plant. Showed me how to do one of those, and I grew a spider plant when I was probably about 6, 7 years old, and had like this little spider plant next to my bed in my room, and grew that for a couple of years and a couple of other plants. So I was that like grade school kid that had actual plants instead of toys in my room. Well, I had toys, but I had plants though.
Oh, I did too.
So I've always had them. Yeah. It's food gardening, which is really new to me. Well, I mean, 15 years, I suppose now, but it's newer.
I mean, there's what I love about food gardening, and I know Destin knows this too, is that there's always something new to learn and grow, and every season is different and has its own unique challenges that lead you down this interesting rabbit hole. Like mysteriously, some years are excellent for cucumbers and some years are terrible for them. For no good reason, because it's the same variety, it's the same growing spot, it's the same whatever, but there's just bad. So then it could lead you down a rabbit hole of like, is it my soil? Is it the climate? Is it my watering schedule? Like, what is it? And so I think it's just a vastly interesting hobby, no matter which thing you're into. But for me, vegetable gardening was my like main motivation. Because I just remember having vine ripe tomatoes with my grandfather as a kid in the garden, with a shaker of salt. And I was doing guerrilla gardening in other people's like little flower boxes and things. And the best cucumber plant I ever grew was when I just put in my Nana's front flower bed. And then it grew in the bushes along her house. And she was like, that's it. No more. These are excellent cucumbers, but you can't grow them up here anymore.
They took over my garden bed. They took over my stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they were climbing through the bushes. It was great.
I was asking you, Dezz, do you have any Disney characters among those squirrels? Maybe a princess?
You know what? This is seriously the way I operate with these squirrels. I try not to name them. Like I have one that I call her Mama Squirrel, but squirrels, anything can happen, like cats, coyotes, hawks. We've got so many hawks dive bombing the yard constantly. And squirrels just in general, they do something crazy, like their acrobatics are too much and they fall out of a tree and then they hurt their back irreparably. It's crazy. So I try not to name them, but if you guys name them,
try not to get attached too much, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been calling him Nacho. I even told my husband, I was like, one of the followers of the garden party named the squirrel Nacho. And so we've been giving him little peanuts. And I think he may be one of Mama Squirrel's little offspring because he's so sweet about it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great.
I
Yeah.
didn't see any squirrels last time I was over at Dezz's place. I think I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the wrong time of year to see him walking around and stuff, or wrong time of day. Maybe I don't know.
No, I think it was just that we were kind of in and out in the backyard a lot too.
So they kind
They're
of
mostly
kept
like
them away.
if they're around a lot of the time, it's in the morning and the evening. I'll see them occasionally like out, in the middle of the day, in the heat of the day, but they're just kind of splooted out on the fence top. And I'll just like go and leave them some peanuts. But if I'm really interacting with them, it's generally in the morning and the evening.
Yeah, and then it's
Next
maybe
time.
could be one of those. Maybe it could be one of those situations too. That's just because you showed up, they don't want to come out, kind of thing. I remember when we lived in Alaska, we'd have family come over, and one of the big things whenever you have people who are visiting the state, you want to go and show them a moose.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
we got to see a moose. But it was always a thing that if it was like your first time coming to Alaska, you never got to see a moose
Right.
because
my
they
gosh.
would never be there because you were looking for them.
What,
Yeah.
What part of Alaska were you in?
I lived in what's Kenai. It would be the Kenai Peninsula.
Yeah.
South of Kenai is a town called Soldotna,
Yep.
which is smaller than Kenai, and then just south of Soldotna, which is just even smaller. It's one of those ones where it's got is a gas station and a post office, and that's it. And you drive by. That's a place called Kasilof. And that's where I lived, was out of Kasilof, Alaska. We lived right on the property, right on the Kasilof River, which is a better salmon fishing river than the Kenai River.
Yep. No, I was in Anchorage in the Air Force. I was in Elmendorf.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
That's
I
awesome.
think the furthest south I went was Seward.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's about as far south as I went. But I drove. There's one road basically that's the whole run of Alaska, pretty much on the coast. And we went to Eielson. We went to Fairbanks and went to the North Pole, Alaska. Which people might not know this, but North Pole, Alaska, isn't the most northern city.
No.
It's just a really.
That's Barrow.
Yes.
Barrow's the most northern. Yeah.
The North Pole, Alaska, is just a cheesy like Santa Claus themed town. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's
created
really
just for that.
It was fun, but it is very cheesy.
That was the thing. I never got to get any more north of Anchorage. Is one of the things I kind of regret about the time I got to spend in Alaska. But it's really great up there. It's beautiful. Just, man, it's one thing when you get to go and visit and be there during the summertime and do all of that. But if you got to spend a winter time,
it's brutal, man.
Brutal. Yeah.
I would like to go back around like 4th of July. Like I would like to go around.
Oh yeah. Because it can be just as beautiful as anywhere else in like the Pacific Northwest, woods and just, all of that, lakes and, everything, it's just really, can just be really wonderful, during that time of year. And again, too, I mean, if you really think about it, it's because the earth is just pointing Alaska straight at the sun.
Yeah. Right.
So it does get, and that also comes to the effect that a lot of people talk about, when you talk about living that far up north, is the time of the sun you get in the time of day, right? So like during the summertime, it's light all the time. It barely even gets dark during the night. So it's like you can get, go through the night where it's just like, it barely feels like it's dusk in a way.
Like
And
blue
then
hour.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it just starts getting light again. And that happens, like maybe at like 3 o'clock in the morning, that sort of thing. And then by 6 o'clock in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, it's like full daylight,
Wild.
It's wild. But then it's the very opposite during the winter, where you can barely even see any light during the day. You just get, like an hour or two, what feels like a barely full day, and that's it. And then it starts getting dark again.
Goodness,
I don't know. So that's what makes it worse, really. There's the cold, and then there's the real lack of light that you get during the wintertime that really can be, cause a lot of like, what is that, seasonal defective disorder or whatever it is.
Affective disorder, the sad.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. But those are the reasons why, right there, if you think about it, for those sort of regions and areas that lack a lot of sunlight. I say that too
Well,
also for like Seattle, where I'm from as well. Because even during the summertime, it can be gray and rainy and just gray and rainy all year
Mhm.
long.
we were talking about that last week on our podcast with
Yeah.
Growing in the Garden, I believe. We were talking about how hot it is in Arizona because it can get to be like, what, 120 degrees or something, and then it'll still be 100 degrees at night. And so they have a shorter growing season because it gets so hot so fast, kind of in a way like it does here. And we were talking about how you can actually end up with that seasonal affective disorder in the summer as well. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like a mixed bag no matter where you are. I think as gardeners, we always have that period of the year where we're just jonesing to be outside in the garden, and
Yes.
it just
Yeah,
can affect
exactly.
us all
I
just
know,
so
I know,
differently.
I know I got a little bit myself too, I can feel it, and that's just really what it is the sunlight and everything. So it's,
Mhm.
yeah, it can be, really interesting to deal with those times of year, and especially if it's something that happens more towards the summertime when you live in those sort of places as well too. And I felt that in the Seattle area. It's one of the main reasons why I moved here to Southern Oregon, was because I just needed to live in a place that had less rain. That's
Yeah,
what I just needed
yeah.
less rain, and that's one of the major factors of moving here. Is I looked at, the rain percentages, and there was gonna be 40 to 50% less rain here, and I was like, yes. But then this is where also when I'm also becoming an outdoor vegetable gardener too, so I'm not necessarily understanding the full consequences of what I'm asking for as I'm moving
Yeah.
it. But in a sense, it was something I felt I needed though as well too. Let's see here, real quick. Question was coming in from Freebird earlier. I wanted to, when I was talking about my plants, he was asking, how do you water them without taking them down and not getting water all over the floor? Well, I'll tell you what, I get water all over the floor. No, no, no.
Yep.
I mean, if it happens, it happens. I don't worry about it. This carpet is like, in fact, I think we're going to be planning maybe on tearing it out here real soon when it comes down to it. It's just one of it's the only bit of carpet is actually right here in the whole house. So, but yeah, again, too, I got like a little step ladder to get up to some of the ones up top. There's a transcantia, can't, oh my, get the word transcantia.
Tradscantia.
Yeah, trade scantia. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's one that's coming down that droops down and basically waterfalls through
Ooh.
the monstera here that you can't really see because it's off camera, but it's up there a bit. So I gotta have the thing. And then there's of course the spider plant up top there that I gotta kind of step up into all of that. That's the one that's a little more precarious. That's where I got to have the long water thing and get up there, and really
Yeah.
reach for it and everything. But yeah, we do what we can to get them watered and everything
Oh yeah.
when they need it.
Have you seen those cool squeeze bottle waters that have the like big spout on them? So when you're
Oh,
reaching up, you can just squeeze the bottle and it'll water
ooh,
things up high.
no, that would be useful.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a little one that I use for my like window propagations in the little glass like
Test tubes.
tubes or whatever. Yeah, the test tubes. And it's
Yeah.
really easy because you can just fill it up and but I know they make them bigger. And it's just like with the squeezing pressure, it shoots the water through there. Very helpful.
Yeah.
I
I still overwater them on accident up there and it still spills down on everything, but
I think
That's
the best thing to do is just soak them. It's like to take your pots and soak them in take a bigger bucket or whatever and just let them soak in bottom water, and then set them in like an empty tray and let them dry out for like the rest of the day, and then
mhm,
put them back up. That seems like the best way to do it for me.
yeah.
yeah. On Enoch's level though, phew.
Yeah, I need a lot of moving
Yeah,
around.
the moving things around became an issue where it's like, no, things have to be where they are. But what I really could do is, get some of those, open-lipped bottom pots maybe and switch them out or something for some of the more taller ones. In
Yeah,
fact, yeah. In fact, I think, yeah, we have one for the one I have back here, the other pothos that we got back here. But not for that one or the one up there. So that's probably what I could do. It's like so I don't have to reach too far up to get up there, and then I could just fill the tray a little bit. But then again, you can't see in up there too, so it's going to take maybe a little dripping for you to see the tray's full or not, but
it's an intricate dance we play.
That's right. But yeah, again too, if you got good well draining soil and all of that, I can just make sure that I give it a good little soak, and it's usually pretty good for a while.
I kill so many indoor plants. I kill so many indoor plants. They just do so much. Like for here, it seems like they just do so much better outside. If one looks like doo-doo, I take it outside and put it in the greenhouse or put it out in some sun, and it's just so much happier outside. Like the plants are just happier outside.
Get out of here with your subtropical climate. Like I don't even want to hear, literally.
Yeah, for real. I'm like, wait a minute here.
Gosh.
It's almost the desert around
here these days.
Yeah.
Bragging over here. Perfect climate for growing everything.
I know. Not everything, right? But again, I don't think anybody has a perfect climate for everything, but some people have a great climate for a lot of stuff we like to grow, and especially for like being able to like take things out and do things like that. Something. I don't know. I mean, there's a few plants maybe I'd give it a try to, but then again, it's so jungleized in here. Maybe moving something. There's some I could move, but a lot of them I just can't really anymore.
They look so great there. Like they're so happy.
Dezz has enough room where she could put a little indoor grow tent upstairs. I bet she could.
I could. I'm working on up here. And I'm gonna do a video when I'm going to add some more plants up here. And I've kind of put it on pause. The inside of my house looks like trash right now, but the outside is looking great. As most gardeners are this time of year, especially if you're a vegetable gardener.
My floors look terrible right now.
Yeah, like you just go outside when you can. And right now the weather is super favorable for being outside. Even if it's cold, it's actually nice because you can actually work outside.
It's just a little cooler, that's all.
Yeah, I really want to get one of those. I don't talk about it a lot, but I love orchids. I love them. And I want to get one of those like IKEA, like greenhouse, Millsboro, whatever cabinets, and make a huge orchidarium when you come up my stairs. So that way it's just like all these orchids all up in there and flowering in a nice humid environment. A little dream of mine. Maybe I'll do it one of these days. But I want one of those up here in this corner somewhere. So
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I haven't done too much with orchids before, so that would be kind of fun. I mean, I love them too. I love, every time I see them, I'm like, oh man, I really want to get one of those. But
they're both difficult in the way that they need certain exact things, but easy in the way that once you get them on a schedule, they do great. And that's the main thing I'm always trying to, mostly with orchids, the death knell of an orchid is that little tag where people say, put 2 ice cubes on it. And that's all the water it takes a week. But why would you put an ice cube in a subtropical, or a tropical plant? Because that cold water is going to put the root system into shock. So I just say, a couple tablespoons of lukewarm water once a week, same day, make it Monday, whatever day that is, and keep them on that schedule and they'll do fine. They just want to be moist.
They just want to be moist. That's it.
Just want to be moist. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Not drowning, just moist.
Exactly. That's just it. And again, some plants are particular for certain things, and it can be hard to be on those certain schedules. But if you can find that sort of rhythm with your plants, you can have a lot of those cool, interesting things in your jungle. Man, what I got to keep up with already to kind of work a lot of other things into a regular, some of my stuff, and that's why I've got a lot of the things I've got. A lot of what I've got has got to be able to handle some time being ignored here and there, just in case I forget. I'm like, because sometimes it'll be like,
I'm super mean to plants.
I'm
a little mean to them. We were we were plant shopping in Austin when he was here, and I was talking about how mean I am to plants. I'm like, it's almost survival of the fittest out in my backyard with my native plants. And Destin was like, internally and externally cringing some. He's like, good grief.
Right.
I pamper my plants only because, well, and I guess I don't necessarily have to as much because I do have, very good weather for a lot of plants to thrive with,
Yeah.
frequent watering, access to an abundant amount of fertilizer. So my plants do pretty well. And so I'm not the person who sets it and forgets it typically, but I also, I try to do my stuff very efficiently. I come home for lunch and I started watering my plants at lunch, and I'm even, learning a lot from people like Dezz and other people. Sometimes you don't need to water your plants as often. I'm even trying to develop the area like where it probably gets too much rain. We probably get too much rain here for certain succulents and cactuses. I might need to have those in an area where they're getting full sun, but maybe they're not getting watered except by me. I saw some people in Austin that are like cactus and succulent people, and they have, greenhouse covers with open sides year round, and they control the precipitation, which is really smart. So I'm trying to move that way in a certain area too, so I can, not rot my codexes,
Right. Yeah.
It's a dance.
Yeah, and that's another thing too that was really hard for me for a long time was also like with having so many plants and everything. So, you got like a watering day, so I'm going to go water plants, but also not every plant needs to be watered that day too. You know what I mean? So that's another thing. And it's a hard thing to resist for especially a lot of newer plant caretakers and all of that, is that, you just want to, like, even if it does look like it's just fine and and the soil's wet and everything, you still just want to drop a little bit more on there just because you're there with the water can, and you got to resist that, when it comes to some plants as well too, because again, you'll find some, and maybe some by accident. I don't know why, and it probably shouldn't be the case with this calathea right here, that it should be dried out like this. Not from anything I've read about caring for a calathea does it say that you should let your soil dry out on a level. Like, I mean, literally right now I'm like, I should water this really bad right now, but I found when I let it do that, it's doing well. So sometimes some plants don't act or behave the way they're also written in the books about too as well. So you also got to create that kind of connection with your plants to know when they need the certain things they need, too. So again, part of the fun, is that sort of, again, not just the fact that I got a whole bunch of plants and it's cool that we got a bunch of plants, but that each individual plant also has a certain sense of connection with you as well, too, that you're minding those things as well, too. And over caring can be an issue for a lot of new plant caretakers.
Don't love your fern to death.
Right.
One of the biggest things that I try to tell people, especially here in my area, is that you should water your lawn deeply, very deeply, and infrequently to encourage it to put down deeper roots. Otherwise, grass will only have roots that exist within the top inch of topsoil, which then makes it overly dependent upon water. And here in our area in Austin, Texas, it's very hot, it's very dry, and you need a very good resilient grass. And grass is supposed to enter several different periods of dormancy throughout a season, in the winter, and then it'll have a nice flush of green during the rainier season. In the summer, it'll go more dormant again, and that's normal. And something they tell us this, all the time here in Austin. You got to be down with brown to be eco-friendly. You got to be okay with that grass being a little bit brown in order to make it more resilient. And sometimes it's just about learning the proper way to manage plants in your landscape, or even in your individual microclimate, which is why it always depends, right? For whatever reason, that calathea likes whatever's going on at your house. So that one's just dependent on your schedule, and it's doing great.
Yeah, exactly. And again, too, that's again a part of just kind of getting familiar with the individual plants that you have. Some require just, they all kind of, as anything else or anybody else, we all require different ways of being cared for, so, and that's the same with plants and all that too, is then, really gaining that familiarity with them. And then also, that helps you along with understanding when you should be caring for them and watering them, so you're not soaking them and doing all of that as well too. Like I said, not every time does it need to be watered,
I give Destin a really hard time about how much he waters his plants, but honestly, he has so much success with what he's got going on. Like his desert roses are insane. I don't know if you guys have checked out any of his like recent pictures and things he's been posting on Instagram, but he can barely get out or even into the back of his greenhouse because he's so on it. He knows what's up. He's been seed starting like crazy. It's so inspiring to see what he does. So you guys should definitely check it out.
It's a lot of work. And but I say it's work. It's not work when you enjoy what you do. So it's work is work. This is fun. So I love doing what I do. I enjoy the fact that people enjoy what I do. So that's a cool plus too. So.
Yeah, exactly. And again too, that's one of the things also I love too is gardeners who've got that kind of energy. I mean, I like growing and I like growing a lot of stuff, but man, I see what you do sometimes and I'm like, oh wow, he's just busy. He's just going
so
at
inspiring.
It. And I'm like, man, I not necessarily that I wish I could grow at that level. I do enjoy watching someone who can and does, and that's one of the things that's great about watching what you do though too.
Yeah, I was on a podcast yesterday with Wade Lee, and he was talking about how it's like, oh, I like that you can the stuff you're doing and how like it's I'm envious, and I was like, well, I mean, I tell people that they get excited, they think it's cool, like I'm doing this. It's like, well, imagine the time like you're at like soccer practice with your kids, or like doing school stuff, or that.
Oh,
I'm always gonna buffer when I'm talking,
right.
So like. But yeah, so I mean, it's the free time that y'all have, with your kids and your, whatever is the time I'm spending in the garden. So I mean, if I had kids, I probably couldn't do what I do, or I'd have to get super creative. You know what I mean? So like, it's a trade-off.
Yeah. You also you have great proximity to work. You don't really have a commute. You can come home for lunch every day and babysit those plants. You get home pretty quickly in the evening. And it's all about like what we all have time and opportunity for. And I think just meeting ourselves where we're at as far as, just life goes, life and responsibility,
Yeah, these are huge lessons I'm currently going through over the last couple of seasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just having to, again, it's great to see folks who can do that. I'm at this point where I'm like, I wish in a sense I could be doing the level of gardening I was used to growing at. But at the same time, I also have to acknowledge I've only got so much time to dedicate to do certain things. And when you are big on projects and different things like I do, and and again, I'm sure people can imagine what it takes to put on a show like this every Saturday and Sunday. There's a lot of work that goes into that during the week. Plus, I have a regular job. I got to go out and work and pay my bills and do all that sort of stuff too. So that's
I don't know how you do it twice a week.
Is understanding. Yeah,
twice a week would be nuts, dude. Twice a week would be crazy.
Wait till you hear what we got coming up too for the show coming up later in the year.
The reason me and Dezz are laughing is because Phil finally texted back.
Yeah, we're texting. We've been texting Phil.
Is he? Did he forget the time?
I think so. He'll be on in a second, but he's gonna hop on here right at the end.
Oh, perfect.
And give him the remainder of the time to talk about figs.
Yeah, like Phil, what the heck? He probably didn't think about the timing.
Oh,
because he needed to think backwards, right? Yeah, because he's an hour ahead of me. So he would have had to think. Ahead. Yeah, I don't know why it breaks my brain. The Pacific Northwest time zone.
Yeah.
To this, it always breaks my brain. It makes no sense. I don't know why.
3 hours from the east, 2 from the central.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Phil, you just gotta take him when you can get him. He's a busy guy.
We love him. He's a great guy.
Real quick question here before we bring them on.
Yeah.
Serena asks, I have a Christmas cactus. It's going to be 2 years old this year and hasn't had plant food. Do I need to give it anything?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, I have Christmas cactus that I never fertilize. I just keep them evenly moist, and they end up giving me blooms 2 times a year. One, I barely sneeze water at it, and it just bloomed. It was acting
really?
happy. So
They're
Yeah.
they're one of those that you barely need to water. You know, I have killed several that I've overwatered.
yeah,
And now that I started mixing my own like bonsai and succulent soil that drains really, really well.
yeah.
You know, it helps with drainage and stuff like that. It doesn't rot as quick, so it's really nice. But you don't necessarily have to. I use I have a desert or a cactus and succulents fertilizer, or just a natural like a flowering fertilizer will be fine. But they're only going to bloom once a year anyway. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's.
I mean,
don't
mine
think
do
it's
2 times.
Do they really?
Yeah, I get mine just now bloomed in the spring, and then it'll bloom again in like November, December. Sometimes I even have them in the greenhouse blooming in January. They're weird.
Yeah, mine were blooming already in I think they're Easter cactuses. They got so many now. It's like, oh, it's a Thanksgiving cactus, an Easter cactus. I don't think they really know what they're.
Maybe the secret is that it's a year-round cactus.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just cactuses that bloom at different times, but they're similar varieties or something.
Well, I saw a chart that has some
Yeah.
leaf shape.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen that too before.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know how accurate that is, man. I just treat them right and they'll bloom every once in a while, you know.
Right?
I mean, and in my case, treat them wrong, and they will anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
Right on,
But I mean, Serena, if it's 2 years old and it's looking healthy, it may be time to repot it. If it's been in the same pot for 2 years, it may be time to repot. So adding some nutritious new potting soil could help. So.
Yeah. Right on. Okay, there he is. I was gonna say he was there a second and not, but let's get this guy in on the conversation here. Let's see. I'm gonna change here and do this there. Boom! How about that?
Oh, hey, nice to join us, Phil.
It's the man, Phil.
My God, I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
I made it.
Yes. Right on. You made it. How's it going? Oh, he froze.
Oh, look, it's a nice freeze, though.
I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm here.
At least we get to look at him.
Oh, there you are. You are here. Oh, look at
he's
these dirty fingers. Look at the dirty fingers.
I wonder what he was
doing.
Oh, yeah.
Who got 12 cubic yards of compost?
Oh, yes.
At
least your hands are dirty. You
that Dillo dirt, baby.
With your hands.
It is
dirty.
not Dillo dirt.
Don't get started on that Dillo dirt. I'll lose my mind. I don't even want to.
What are you talking about?
Armadillo dirt. It's
so fill me in.
Fill me in.
No, fill us in. What have you been up to today?
Oh, having 3 kids is kind of like herding cats. So
yeah,
that was a thing. So putting out some fires, trying to get my errands done, juggling stuff, maybe making some content, taking the family to the beach. And then finally, I'm in that world of staring at my compost, being like, when am I going to get to you? And I'm finally getting to it piece by piece. And time got away from me. So I have no excuse other than time got away from me. And I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
You're here.
Just chatting away.
You handsome devil.
Yeah.
You see all my gray hair coming in?
Now the party is complete, though.
The party's complete. Yeah. Enoch, I thank you for having us all on, because I would say Dezz rounded out our crew, and it's been such a fun bonding experience to all hang in person and then start this garden party journey. And and it's,
I think you guys got the cool the 3 kind of host vibe thing is great. I like that kind of way you guys do that with the format and everything. And of course, over the last couple of years, we've had each of you on, at different times and whatever, in fact, we just haven't had all 3 of you on together. So when we got on it, I was
We
like, oh, wait
almost
a minute,
did
where's Phil at? I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is our big
It's on me. I done
opportunity
goofed.
to get all three of you together, but we made it happen. Here we are. The party is complete.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, at least you're showing up to the party with your hands dirty, though. You know what
I
I mean?
mean,
I was in
I'm
the
gonna-
garden.
Unless you were outside right before going, oh, in the dirt real quick, going, okay, I gotta have an excuse.
No, here's my sweat. Here's the sweat.
Oh, it's legit. Look how legit this work is.
Yes, it is. There we go.
He rolled up in here like a true gardener, covered in dirt and sweat.
That's right. Perfect.
My sister, I was supposed to call her yesterday morning, and I got stuck stimming on putting together a raised garden bed and then digging in the dirt. And then I had to apologize to her at 6:30 p.m. because I was like, I don't know what happened. I literally lost time. There it went.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, look at this. We're already Phil shows up and then all of a sudden Fig's questions are showing up like crazy.
Are they? Oh, check this. See this? Those are potatoes. They just popped up.
Oh yeah, perfect.
So
yeah, my potatoes are just going in the ground right now. I should have got in a little earlier.
We made it to spring here in Wilmington.
It's perfect. Let's see here. Serena says, what kind of oh wait, no, is that the right one? Oh wait.
Oh my gosh, Serena.
Yeah. How about that one? Right.
Obviously, can I use that, Serena?
For sure, right? She's good with this one right here. Or this one here too. How do fig trees talk? Figuratively. You know, when you show up, the fig puns and stuff got us to come rolling out, right? You know?
They're like filling my dad joke void right now. So that's perfect.
Right. Venice Weeks asks, you're in Townsville. I believe that's what's that? Australia? Yeah, is similar to Florida with figs. Is there a warmer suited fig that I could try to grow?
Warmer suited fig. You know, figs do great in warmer climates. I would go for what the fanciest fig you can find. Unless you're worried about when you say
philsfigs.com.
Trees available in May. But I would say, like, if it's humid there, like Florida humid, you're gonna want to look for something that can handle that humidity. And there's a few varieties that do well with that, like your white Genoa, your Dalmatese, like Stella, something with a smaller ostiole or eye of the fig. Try looking that route. So Destin always laughs because like, Phil, big words. We talked about this.
I love big words. I love it, dude.
Big words. That's great. Let's see here. Was there another question here too?
Oh, Charles is here. Nice.
Saw Charles.
Yeah.
Wilmington is a mecca for garden content creators. There's a bunch of y'all right there in that area with Mike.
I know we're spoiled, but you know we have a fun climate transition from the Appalachian Mountains down to my coast, where you could be probably 6A all the way down to where I am at 8B. If you're on the Outer Banks, I think they got bumped up to 9A, even on the Outer Banks.
Dang, yeah.
That's like a slip of sand dunes. But so it's fun to see what everyone has. And geologically, you can see the soil change as you go from the mountains all the way down to where I am, where it's super sandy or swampy. So it's cool to see the value of it's kind of like Texas.
No, definitely. I mean, Dezz is like 3 hours from me, and it's a completely different climate. It's completely different.
Yeah, totally, completely different. We have 10 ecoregions in Texas.
That's crazy. Yeah, we were touching on that just a little bit earlier. Just amazing.
Yeah, we have the desert, the piney woods, the subtropical areas. We've got more, flat plains lands. We've got everything, basically. It was, like I said earlier, it was snowing in the Panhandle yesterday, and it was like 60 degrees until it wasn't here, and then it was 38 this morning, and so we're just running the gambit.
The yo-yo spring. That's like that when we have people on the podcast, Enoch, for Garden Party, and Destin and Dezz are really good at recruiting the other Texans, but Texas is so big that some of the cast people are from like 8 hours apart, and that's like from where I'm in Wilmington talking to someone in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So you're like, it's the same distance but one state. But that
isn't that crazy?
Shows the diversity of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could drive a whole day and be in Texas.
Yeah. We were also touching on a little bit of my experience living in Alaska too, which is another just gigantic state as well too, where the distances between things you'd think aren't that far, but they really are when you really get down to it. It's like, wow.
And it's
hard to believe.
I think I followed some homesteaders that were up in Alaska, and their growing season is very acute. It's like you got to be on it, and then you got to stay on it until it's not. And then they're like, okay, that's got to make us through the year. And I was like, holy cow.
Yeah. There's a couple of different channels from up there that I want to get on the show at some time to talk about that, because again, too, it is that limited growing season, which is really interesting how gardeners handle that. When I lived in Alaska, there was probably one of those, didn't have much gardening experience because I didn't do much of it with my grandmother in a sense, but she did have like a greenhouse and she would grow tomatoes and cucumbers and things like that, right there in Alaska and everything. When I look back on it, I think about like, wow, that is kind of a challenging season. You definitely, greenhouses for sure. You're going to, are basically required in a sense, but I'd love to talk to someone more about gardening there. We do have a good friend of mine who comes on every few weeks too, Christopher Bransdahl, who gardens out of Norway, up in the mountains up in Norway, and it's similar to an Alaskan climate in that short growing season as well too. Right. So it's always interesting talking to him about what he's able to grow or what he's growing at that point in time, and a lot of times it's I'm still waiting to do that. While we're all gardening, he's still waiting to do stuff, but he's does a lot of great like indoor stuff too. So there's
absolutely. I mean, I get it. Like I lived in Boston for a while and I had my own little urban garden out back, and it was really tough to see the rest of the country waking up, and I'm like, I can't even do stuff in April because we'll get a freeze and they'll smoke everything.
I used to love watching that show Homestead Rescue. With the Rainies up there in Alaska, and see all the different ways that they would build greenhouses, like using berms or doing it half subterranean and big black jugs full of water with like strategically placed windows just to make sure that they could do more indoor growing because they have such a short growing season.
Oh
yeah.
I would say my number one recommendation for like Alaska gardener homesteading is Simple Living Alaska. They're like my number one channel I love to watch. And they do really cool stuff.
Simple Living Alaska. I'm gonna have to look them up.
Alaska. They do a lot of cool stuff, and I've watched them from like the beginning. I think they're from Oregon originally. It's a couple, and they moved up there, and they were like in Wasilla, which is like a little bit north of Anchorage. And I think they've gone considerably further north now. So it's cool to watch them try to grow in Alaska.
Yeah,
they have a huge following. A couple 100,000. They do really well.
Wow. I love finding new. Oh, I found them.
Yeah, a lot of canning videos, a lot of like hunting and gardening and preserving. They do a lot of preserving.
Yeah.
That's
Again,
awesome.
to another big requirement living like in those areas, especially, again, too, like I said earlier, it's one thing to experience Alaska in the summertime and it's fun and it's just great. It's a beautiful place, but man, that thing switches to the complete opposite. It gets wintertime and it can be brutal. So and when you only got a short growing period of time, you want to grow a lot and you want to preserve it and you want to have that throughout that winter season.
Yes.
Let's see here. Oh, Serena was mentioning this in the chat here too, and I was kind of wondering too about your microphone. Did that pop off there, Destin, on your mic?
Is it working?
It's like just your volume is a little low.
I would bring the volume up and the echo down a smidge.
How's that?
Yeah.
It seemed to kind of switch at some point. It was perfect earlier.
Dez, your hair is fire today.
Yeah.
You know what? I cut myself some bangs right before I got on here, and it was a hair wash day. So
perfect.
It's doing a thing. I put my hairdressing skills to work. Thanks for noticing.
How's my audio?
Way to go, Phil.
Yeah, it's better, I think.
Okay, I think I was just further away from the mic. Sorry.
There you go.
Oh, that's way better.
And a lot of this actually was inspired by you, Dez. Like when you went to town on your beds in your backyard, and I was like, I had a sunny weekend. I'm like, now's the time.
Get out there and dig. It helps.
Yeah. Let's see here. We had another question for Phil. Phil gets all the good questions.
Big Daddy Phil.
I live in central Indiana Zone 6, planting Chicago figs for.
Oh, I responded to her. Yeah.
Should I plant them in ground or in pots?
They always do better in the ground, it seems like.
Hardy Chicago's, I would say for the first few years, grow them in a container. Wait till they get that root ball that's substantial, so it has a lot of reserve energy, and then put it in the ground. And then I would actually wrap it too, just to save yourself any stress or worry, or heavily mulch it and prune it to the ground. Hardy Chicago's are great for being able to prune to the ground every year and let them come up as a bush. But if you want them as a tree, you can definitely wrap them in burlap.
Are they really productive as a bush?
Yeah.
Like every single year?
Every single year. Like, because it's like every node has the potential for a fig, right? And figs form on the new growth. So all the new growth you can get figs. So you can grow them as a bush. It works really well like that. Some figs, if you prune them hard like that, they'll focus too much on growing and they won't focus enough on fruiting. And that's where the advantage is with what I call Mount Etna type figs. And that's what you can do.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
So
that was good to know.
Yeah. Hardy Chicago's are good for that. Stella or Dalmaties, those big, beautiful, turbinate green figs with a deep red interior, they do really well too. And I would for pruning back like that. So go for it. But they'll make good brebas that are very similar to the main crop, where Hardy Chicago's, you won't necessarily have that breba.
Yeah. Are there certain types of figs that just work better in a container? Or
A lot of them grow so well in containers. Like they're like one of the best things to grow. Like Ross Ratty, if you guys ever listen to him on figs, he points this out beautifully, but it's like you don't need a dwarf variety to grow in a container. They will dwarf themselves just fine, and they'll actually grow faster and then slow down their growth rate to accommodate the space they're in, kind of like a goldfish in a pond style. So I would actually just do that. You don't need to have any sort of dwarf rootstock or a dwarf variety to do that in a container. Just find your favorite flavors and go with that.
Yeah. So you can grow and be able to move them for those ones that probably don't take a cold or winter like that. But I do have a Chicago fig that I think maybe might be about the time where I could do what you're saying. I could probably take it out and plop it into the ground.
Absolutely. Especially where you are
growing in for the last few years. So
yeah. And in the Pacific. Oh, sorry, Destin.
No, I was going to say, I always, before we get our first freeze, I go out there and do some pruning on them anyway and start propagating. So if I do lose a fig over winter, I've got a cutting that's propagating already over winter. So I can always replace it.
Oh, yeah.
That's smart. That's smart. I think that's the only way I'm going to have one of my salvias come back this year is because I had new growth on it. And then I saw we were getting a freeze. And since it was putting out those new shoots, I was like, uh-oh, I don't think it's going to make it. Luckily, I rooted it in the window. So that's a really good tip because now I'm going to be able to plant that thing back out there where the original one was. So I'll still have a baby of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a great tip.
Speaking of babies.
Yes. Question.
This
Phil,
is the youngest
what
gardener.
do your kids think of all the figness going on?
This one doesn't quite understand it yet, but she approves.
That's just woken up face.
Yeah, we just woke up.
Yeah, that's just woken up
like,
face.
Dad, you put me on. I know. And so my other kids, they like to garden when they want to, and when they don't want to, they let you know. And it slows me down, but that's just the chapter of life I'm in. In fact, many of them are outside right now, and that's just how it goes. Sometimes the neighbor kids come over and I can get stuff done. Sometimes there's tag teaming. Sometimes I'm just limited on time. And so like sometimes Destin's like, you got this, Phil, like put this out here. And he's so patient with me being like, okay. And then I don't get it done because I'm like, I get caught up with my other things in life, but
it happens, dude.
Yeah. We were talking about this before you got on. Meet yourself where you're at all the time. We're in our own
own
pace, our own journey.
I'm very hard on myself about that. And that's something that I struggle with. And
Yeah.
Where I put a lot of food on my plate in my brain of what I want to accomplish. And then at the end of the day, when I don't, I'm very hard on myself for it. So a lot of it's giving myself grace in the garden and reminding myself to just to kind of express gratitude when I'm out there. My cup of coffee in the morning before I have my time without social media out there. And that's kind of what I cherish the most sometimes.
Yeah.
So precious. Is she wearing ladybugs? She looks like she's got ladybugs. Oh,
you're destroying
that's so
that.
cute.
Your hands are so filthy on touching that baby.
I know. I'm just thinking like,
it's good for her.
It's good.
It's all right. It's all right though. She's gonna outgrow that in a second. So
it's good.
Oh yeah, 100%. She's our youngest too, so I think
she's already moving on from that onesie, so it's all right.
There's a really good question from Sean in the chat, I think.
Yep, Shawnee Groves was asking. It's kind of a question for all of us in a sense. We kind of go around with this because you guys, have and then we kind of touched on this just a little bit earlier too. And Shawnee's asking, as a group with diverse perspectives, how do you ensure that each member's voice is heard and contributes to the overall dynamic of the podcast? Is it just natural?
Honestly,
yeah. Because honestly, you guys are, again, we were talking earlier about it's just groups. You guys got 4 or sometimes 5 people, and you're doing and again, it's one of the things I love about it. I like that. To me, it would be 4 people. I think is the biggest we've ever done on the show today, with having 4 people on. So having a larger conversation like that, how has that gone for you though in the podcast? You guys have been doing it for a while, and again, I'll just say for myself, I enjoy the conversations though too.
I think that we do better sometimes than others, and I think it depends on how many squirrels we figuratively see on the show and what our if it's just the 3 of us, we have really good chemistry about going back and forth and talking about things. And if we have really good chemistry with the guests that we have on, it's just a great time, but it's always natural. And I think we keep murmuring about how we want to have more structure, but I have the worst ADD. I will literally, I think I get us off track a lot. that's on me. I'm not gonna lie. Destin,
you know what though? That's sometimes when we strike gold, where we're like, we get on a tangential flight and it sinuously works its way into a really important topic that a lot of people resonate with. And I think that that's really cool that we can have that banter that makes the podcast fun.
Destin is very good at
need to go off the rails
on track when he can.
Yeah, Destin's a great facilitator.
Well, and I'm usually pretty selective, like on who we invite on the podcast too, because I want to make sure that we keep the garden party about gardening. And I know like I get pressure to sometimes say opinionated things and get into the weeds about things in my channel. But I've always said from the very beginning that the Texas Garden Guy channel and the garden party is going to be about gardening, and that's it. And so I'm very selective and picky of who we bring on. Because I don't want to turn off one side or the other, and I think we all have different opinions, very different opinions from one, spectrum to the other. But it works because we're all really respectful of each other. We love each other, and we've been doing this for so long now. It's like when we see each other in person, it's like seeing your brother or sister you ain't seen in a long time. It's
that was the coolest. Where it picked up where we left off.
Yeah, so, I mean, and we text every single day. We got a group chat, and so like we just when there's love and respect, everything else is just on the side,
Exactly.
So, we make each other laugh.
Yeah. And for me though too, and with this show, that's again, we've got so many different, I'm reaching out in all different corners of the gardening community and trying to pull people in and all of that, because I kind of go with this philosophy that and I don't think I coined it necessarily, but I've been talking about what we call common ground, is that the garden space is a great common ground for all sorts of people with all sorts of backgrounds and ideas and beliefs and all that sort of stuff, and the garden is a great place where we can gather and get a chance to start a conversation You know,
Yeah.
first, again, with what we do here, you know, the conversation starts with gardening, and we start from there, and we get to meet each other, know each other, learn about each other, and then we can move on to some of those other conversations, you know, from that sort of thing, and then be more familiar with each other as we're receiving those sort of opinions as well too, because that's one of the things that social media does a huge disservice to people, is that you know, it separates us so much that we don't have to be concerned about how each other feels or whatever, and in the long run, you know, that's not really the ultimate best way for people to be going about things. I mean, in the long run, I think right now, one of the things we understand more so, especially through the gardening community, is that's what is important, is community, is people, and people to gather with each other and share with the things that they enjoy and their passions that they share, build that community. And then from there, we can talk about all this other stuff and find better solutions than yipping and yammering at each other from distances that mean nothing.
Yeah. I think go ahead, Dezz. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think we all challenge each other in different ways. And I think that we all have learned to grow together as people and as gardeners. And, you know, Destin teaches me amazing things about gardening all the time, because he gardens in a completely different way than I do and has a completely different specialty than I do. And I can see that my impact on Destin is he's nicer to the caterpillars.
Oh, yes.
He's nicer to those caterpillars. And
I am definitely nicer in general around Dezz.
Yeah. I try to make
sometimes that's a part of what we do
for
for each other, though, too, as a community, though. You
well,
know what I mean?
And the world will be really boring if we all thought and said the same things. You know, it's good to have people that think differently than you, because it makes you think different ways of, you know, different things. So I like that we all have different opinions. But like at the end of the day, we have way more in common than we do, you know, different. You know, we're all gardeners. We're all, you know, fathers and uncles and sisters and brothers, and that's what's more important than anything else.
Rich fabric of people.
Exactly.
Finding the common space with like unique perspective and shedding different parts of perspective is such a cool thing. And like that's I think, because it's like gardening and growing food and not having that kind of formalized in a fashion that's maybe in an academic way all the time, we're forced to reach out to our community to learn that stuff. And so that is a great, in using social media as a tool to reach others for more information.
A tool for good. You know, more of us need to be doing these things where we're out and doing things that are building community and putting stuff together like this, because social media, you know, it's about, you know, pushing back on that sort of thing. If that's what we all view social media as, well, then it's kind of our responsibility to do something different with it. And that's kind of what I think the purpose of, you know, like your show or my show is just to have a fun community conversations with each other about the things we enjoy, you know what I mean? So that we can bring people together to understand that, yeah, look at all of us different people who all enjoy all of this fun stuff, you know? And it's just,
we're a braggadocious bunch, man. We just want you to come and see our stuff.
Exactly.
That's another one. Braggadocious Garden Club. That's
right. Yeah.
That's two. I'm 2 shirts down today.
You got 2 shirts in for sure.
Motivated
Yeah, exactly. I was also thinking, you mentioned caterpillars too. I was just seeing just the other day, have you heard of aquatic caterpillars?
No.
Aquatic.
I just got so excited.
There you go. What? There you go. Okay, that's my gift for you today, to go look up and learn about aquatic caterpillars.
Oh, I'm so thankful for
Lepidoptera.
Lepidoptera. That Lepidoptera, isn't that dragonflies and stuff?
Some sort of moth or something. I'm sure.
Oh, moths. It says, moths.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I just saw this the other day, and the first person I thought of when I saw aquatic caterpillars was Dezz. I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta remember to mention that to her.
Look how fast I Googled it too. Oh, wait.
It's right there. Yeah.
It's right there. I'm going off on this later. That's exciting.
I was like, aquatic caterpillars. Yeah, they can live in the water for a while. It's really great.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, look. Oh, I can't.
Let's see. Mobius is saying Lepidoptera is a butterfly.
And a moth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Moth. Oh, yeah. She says moth. Okay, moths. I was close.
I was thinking of Ornithoptera, which is it's the
Petrophylla moth.
That is dragonflies.
For all the fishermen out there, Will says, aren't aquatic caterpillars what you call worms on a fish hook? No.
I think that's still like a red wiggler, but that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not really. I don't fish, but I did get worms with my grandfather.
my nickname in high school was the Red Wiggler.
Oh my gosh. That's a story right there. I was what?
Jay was teasing you were faster than her.
Oh my gosh. That's because like when you start talking about caterpillars and pollinators and butterflies and insects in general, it like literally lights my candle. I like get so excited about it.
Yeah.
You can tell.
I just posted.
I'm like, isn't that a like? It starts sounding like dinosaur names to me when you were bringing up those scientific names.
I just posted a video today that I took like, I guess it was like last Friday, Thursday or Friday. Anyway, of me rescuing a little jumping spider out of my car. And I was just literally editing this video and just smiling as big as I could. And I think it came in on a crossvine that I had gotten for my backyard. And so if you want to see a cute jumping spider, go over there and look at it. It's a really cute, they've got turquoise pedipalps and they're called a bold jumping spider. We have bold jumping spiders here in Texas, and they're really pretty. I love them, and they're so fun.
I just had one last night in my hallway over here. Probably one of the biggest jumping spiders I've seen in my house before. I mean, he was huge. But the cool thing is if you could sit there and you actually wave to them for a little bit and you do it just over and over again, they'll literally actually wave back to you. And this one waved back to me and then actually proceeded to like walk down the hallway like it was leading me down the hallway, like it had something it wanted to show me. It kept
Did you go with it?
Well, it kept turning around and looking back at me to see if I was there, and then it would go and walk a little bit more, and it would turn around and look back at me.
It was luring you into a trap.
Yeah,
I love them.
Exactly.
They're so expressive.
They are, yes, the most expressive, friendliest little things. Yeah, they're great. I love jumping spiders.
Me too. I can't.
All right, let's see here. We better get going here. I got one last question though from Serena for Phil. Phil, like I said, you got all the great fig questions. Figs just bring about lots of good questions, don't they? She's asking again about the Chicago fig. She has cutting was planted in the ground and mulched, but my friend whose husband planted it told me it died. Do you think it's just dormant and could come back?
I think there's a chance. Serena, can you send me pictures? I think you have my email. If not, for anyone else inquiring about fig questions, phil@philsfigs.com. But
yeah, definitely for these where you got pictures too. That always helps. Yeah, especially get like pictures of the tips too, there as well too, because maybe they just haven't quite pushed out yet and it could still be dormant, like you said.
What is a big indicator that whatever growth is there has died back? The bark almost turns like a red and it shrivels. And so that's a red flag. But if you look at the base of your tree, you could score the bark there to see if there's green. But then it'll find a way to push out a new node and grow from there.
Yeah. Will is like, did I name her Charlotte? Again, the only thing I've named is my cats. I don't. We were talking about plants and naming plants earlier too. I was like, no, I've never named any of my plants either. But yeah, Charlotte, the jumping spider. That's her name now.
I always have an Agatha. It's a giant orb weaver spider in the garden, and I love it when I finally find the one that's going to be my Agatha for the year.
Oh yeah,
that's how we give them good
beautiful.
Space.
Yeah. You can get some great, beautiful orb weavers. Yeah. Spiders, my second favorite garden companion.
That's your
next to my cats.
Oh,
George especially, but yeah,
George.
Dexter comes around every now and then. Yeah, Georgie's great. But he's the one who's always right there hanging out next to me whenever I'm outside. He's just right there somewhere hanging out. He's my buddy.
Do you grow catnip?
Yes, I do. He's got his own batch of catnip across the alley. And actually, I used
the
to
alley
have
cat. Oh man,
they're alley cats. Yeah, exactly. And right across the alley is what I have is like a little cat garden. So I'll put out cat grass sometimes, whenever I get some new cat grass seed, but mostly it's the catnip. And there's a little bench seat. So like anybody can sit there really, but it's the cats because the catnip's right next to it. They'll sit on and hang around this bench that we got there that's next to a little rock garden where I have the remains of my original alley cats that I was in love with for years, but passed away a couple years ago. So I put them there, and it's like a little dedicated cat garden because the centerpiece is the catnip. So not only my cats, but then other cats it's an alleyway. So they come by, they'll go rolling around in the catnip, sit there and hang out around the bench there and everything too. But yeah, when you have an alley, you're going to have cats anyways. So you might as well get used to them and have some of your own and enjoy them.
Yeah.
Right on, you guys. Thank you so much again for being here. Even if we did get Phil just a little bit late this time.
Just a little late. Yeah.
We did get him here. We did get everybody
better late than never.
Once.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
And you got a free surprise guest from Tallulah.
She's also thematic today because she's got her little buggies on and you're covered in sweat and dirt. So you were legitimately actually gardening.
Right.
I came right out of the garden.
You're the real life dirt man.
Just like a
David from Bowtie was teasing, saying, warning, the garden party normally runs 1:45-ish.
Yeah.
In 20 minutes, they may all turn into pumpkins.
Yes.
Right.
Oh my God.
That's all right. What a great time to hang out with you guys here
Yeah,
on
anytime,
the Let's
dude.
Get Growing
Yeah,
show.
thank you.
For
We
sure,
had a great time.
definitely.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll definitely plan to get you guys back again and have you all back for more conversation. And again, I'm sure the vice versa as well too. I'm sure everybody else out there who watches Let's Get Growing show can find me probably sometime. I know you could find me just recently. I in fact put a link right down below in the description for everybody if you didn't get a chance to check out my real recent appearance on the Garden Party podcast. Dezz wasn't there though, but
I know.
you can catch the rest of us.
I
though.
was in
We
Mexico,
had-
I think.
We had West Virginia Ryan though.
Yes, we did. We had our good
Talking
friend
about pumpkins.
Ryan Cook from Heavenly Hills Homestead
The
was with us.
pumpkin
and all that.
chunkin' man.
Oh, I love
That's
that.
right. Yes, indeed. Oh man, again too. I think I got this here still real quick. Let me pop. I loved your banner you did for that, or the thumbnail you did for that.
It was awesome.
It was so great. Let's see if I got that here.
Chat GPT on point, man.
Oh my
There
gosh,
we
it
go.
was such a good thumbnail. I remember that thumbnail.
Dreams are made up, and I'm serious.
Yeah, really.
That's great.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
goodness.
Awesome. Again, thank you all so much for
Thank you.
being here on the show. It's always great to talk to you guys. And again, everybody, if you haven't had a chance to check out the Garden Party podcast, hit those links up down below. If you want to check out the previous episode I was on, make sure that you click subscribe and follow along if you're checking out all of that. And like I said, go and check out some of their individual channels and social media. There's links as well too. Go leave them some comments. Let them know you saw them here on the Let's Get Growing show. Thanks again, you guys, for being here. And I really look forward to seeing you guys again real soon.
Yes.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Got
Thank
it.
you.
Excellent. Thanks.
Bye.
Let's Get Growing is sponsored by IV Organic.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with IV Organics, where we grow cool plants, and author, Saving the World with the Home Garden. IV Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. One application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
Oh, yes, I got to remember every time we get out of those multiple groups, we got to get that back to normal. All right, everybody. What a great show today. Having so much fun talking with the Garden Party podcast. It's so great to have those guys together, all together for once right here on the Let's Get Growing show, and such a great conversation with them. And like I said, if you haven't had a chance to check them out, which I know a lot of you have already, but if you haven't yet, definitely get into the description below and check out those links to the Garden Party podcast and Phil's Figs, Gardening with Dezz, Texas Garden Guy. Go check out all of those channels as well and show them some support from the Let's Get Growing show. Right on, everybody. Lots and lots going on here. Let's take a look at what we've got coming up here on the show. Next Saturday on the show, we're going to have a great, we're having coming back to the show our friend Jason Williams from the Cloud Gardener UK. I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Jason. Plus, we're going to get a chance to meet up with Audrey's Little Farm again. Audrey was on the show a few Sundays ago, kind of promoting her Spring Garden Summit, but we're going to have her back on the Saturday show this next Saturday to talk all about her channel, Audrey's Little Farm. So she'll be joining with us for the Are You Following Me segment. And again, like I said, we got a great conversation with Jason Williams from Cloud Gardener UK. He was just recently on a trip like to China and Singapore and just some other European countries and some other places. He was sent on this trip on a fellowship to go learn about greening urban spaces and how some of these other cities and you know, how they set up regulations and do certain things in order to put more green spaces into their cities, as some of these other large cities do such a great job at. So we're going to talk to him a lot about what he saw on this trip and what he learned while he was on that fellowship. It's going to be a great conversation. You're not going to want to miss that out, especially if you love urban gardening and urban green spaces. You're going to want to catch that conversation for sure. And then next Sunday on the show, next Sunday is the second Sunday of the month, and we're usually on the second Sunday of the month hanging out with our good friend Gardener Scott Wilson for our Q&A, where he answers all of your gardening questions right here on the show every second Sunday of the month. But Gardener Scott is actually also our monthly gardening book club. We are celebrating our monthly gardening book club with Gardener Scott's book, Guide to Raised Bed Gardening. So we're covering Guide to Raised Bed Gardening on the book club this month. So that's usually our third Sunday of the month. So so what we're doing is we're doing a little switcheroo, because Scott is on both weekends. We're getting Scott 2 Sundays in a row. We're gonna switch it so that our good friend Mark Boucher Colbert, NBC, as you saw earlier in his segment, can have his Easter off with his family, because that's the third Sunday this month is Easter. But Scott's going to come and join with us to do his Q&A on the third Sunday. We'll do the book club next Sunday and talk all about Gardener Scott's great book, Guide to Raised Bed Gardening. This is such a great book. I've been really, really enjoying it. I just got mine, in fact, just about a week or so ago. I've already been digging in and taking notes and just really enjoying this book. It's got so much great information in it. And if anybody, I mean, if you know and follow Gardener Scott at all, you know that he is just a wealth of gardening knowledge, and it certainly comes out in this book. So if you haven't got a copy of this yet, you want to go get yourself a copy, come and join with us next Sunday to talk with Gardener Scott all about this great book. So right on, everybody. Thank you so much again for everybody hanging out with us here this weekend. It's been so great hanging out with all of you and all of our wonderful guests this week. And, thanks to Mike McGrath yesterday for being with us here from You Bet Your Garden and Edge of Nowhere Farm. Garden Party podcast today, and lots and lots growing on here on the Let's Get Growing show this next weekend as well too. So before you all head out, definitely click that like button, hit the thumbs up, subscribe button, and the bell notification so you can be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams, and definitely share with all of your friends. Let them know that we're here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, with lots and lots of great gardening conversation. And once again, get down below, follow all those links, go check out all of those great guests that we had here on the show. And again, thank you all so much, and we'll see all of you this next week.